The story of the Anunnaki begins in the land of ancient Sumer, more than 6,000 years ago. In the wide plains between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, one of the world's first civilizations began to write its history on clay tablets. These people were the Sumerians, and in their earliest writings, they told of powerful beings who came from the heavens, beings they called the Anunnaki. According to the Sumerians, the Anunnaki were not ordinary gods. They were part of a vast cosmic family that began with two prime forces: An, the god of the sky, and Kai, the goddess of the earth. From their union came many children, divine beings who lived in the heavens but also traveled to earth. These celestial visitors became known as the Anunnaki, a name that means those who came from Anu, or simply, those from the heavens. The Sumerians described the Anunnaki as wise and powerful. They were said to control rain, wind, crops, and judgment. Each god had a specific role. Enlil ruled the air and enforced divine laws. Enki, his brother, guided wisdom and technology and had a deep connection to water and creation. Some stories described Enki creating rivers and canals, helping humans survive in the hot Mesopotamian climate. The Anunnaki were said to build great cities, such as Eridu, Uruk, and Nippur. These cities were places where gods and people lived side by side. Temples called ziggurats rose from the plains, acting as bridges between the heavens and the earth. The tablets often spoke of powerful laws and technologies given to humans by the gods. These included tools of writing, architecture, mathematics, and medicine. According to the stories, the Anunnaki gave these gifts to help humans build a proper society. But that's only the beginning of what's said about the Anunnaki. Thousands of years after these tablets were written, a new theory would bring the Anunnaki into the modern conversation. In the 1970s, a writer named Zecharia Sitchin published a series of books that offered a different explanation for these ancient stories. He carefully studied the same cuneiform texts, but instead of reading them as myth, he interpreted them as historical and scientific records. According to Sitchin, the Anunnaki were not spiritual deities, but intelligent beings from another world. He believed they came from a distant planet called Nibiru, which follows a long orbit around our sun. This planet, Sitchin said, only passes near Earth once every 3,600 years. Sitchin's theory suggested that the Anunnaki arrived on Earth in the deep past, long before modern humans existed. Their goal was simple: to mine Earth's natural resources, especially gold, which they needed for their planet's atmosphere. They landed in the region of southern Mesopotamia and began extracting minerals using their own advanced tools and knowledge. But the work was difficult even for them, so the Anunnaki decided to create a new worker, a being that could handle physical labor but also follow instructions and live on Earth. According to Sitchin's reading of Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki selected a native species already living on Earth, a type of early hominid. Then, using a process of genetic engineering, they combined their own DNA with that of these early beings. The result was the first modern human. In Sumerian stories, the goddess Ninhursag worked alongside Enki in a special place called the House of Creation. There, they formed a new being by shaping it from clay, a word that Sitchin believes symbolized biological material. The text spoke of multiple trials, early versions that failed, until finally one prototype succeeded. It could speak, understand, and reproduce. The Anunnaki named it Adamu, a name very close to the word Adam found in later biblical texts. Over time, more humans were created. They were sent to work in mines and fields, especially in a region Sitchin called Abzu, believed to be somewhere in Africa. As generations passed, humans spread out and learned the ways of their creators. The knowledge of farming, architecture, calendars, and writing came not from human invention, but from Anunnaki instruction. But some say the Anunnaki gave more than knowledge. They gave blood. If Zecharia Sitchin was right, then we are all, in some way, the children of the Anunnaki. The idea that the Anunnaki created modern humans is already mysterious enough, but some ancient sources hint that certain people weren't just created by the gods, but were born from them. Thousands of years ago, in the ancient city of Uruk, a powerful king ruled the land. His name was Gilgamesh. His story is found in what is believed to be the oldest surviving piece of literature in human history, the Epic of Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh was no ordinary king. Ancient Sumerian tablets described him as 2/3 divine and 1/3 human. According to the texts, he was the son of a mortal man and a goddess named Ninsun. His strength, wisdom, and arrogance were all attributed to this divine heritage. His story was filled with adventures, battles, and quests to uncover the secrets of immortality. Gilgamesh wasn't the only figure described this way. Many rulers in the ancient world were said to descend from the gods, not metaphorically, but literally. In Sumerian texts, some kings were called sons of Anu, the name of the sky god. Others were described as those chosen by Enlil, the powerful god who ruled over the earth. These titles may have meant more than just political power. To the people of the time, they were proof of divine blood. These kings were believed to carry something within them, a spark of the gods themselves. Their rule was not earned by vote or by war, but inherited through a sacred bloodline. This idea wasn't limited to Sumer. In Egypt, pharaohs claimed descent from Ra, the sun god. In Japan, emperors traced their lineage back to the goddess Amaterasu. In Mesoamerica, rulers were believed to be descended from celestial beings sent to Earth to lead. But what if those celestial bloodlines didn't end with myth? According to Sitchin's theory, the Anunnaki didn't just create humans, they also lived among them. Over time, they took human partners, forming a unique bloodline. These hybrid offspring, Sitchin said, were stronger, smarter, and longer lived. They became kings, priests, and advisors. In every civilization, the rulers were divine not only in title but by birth. If all of this is to be believed, then it means one thing. The world's royal families may be the true keepers of the Anunnaki gene. And because these traits were passed down through blood, the line had to be protected. That's why, throughout history, royal families have always married within a closed circle. In Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas, kings, queens, and emperors have carefully preserved their lineage, often at great political and personal cost. This brings us to one of the most mysterious clues in modern science, the Rh-negative blood type. Most people in the world, about 85%, have Rh-positive blood. That means they carry a protein on their red blood cells known as the Rh factor or rhesus factor. But around 15% of the human population doesn't have this protein. For Rh-negative individuals, receiving blood from a positive donor can trigger a serious immune reaction. Even more curiously, if an Rh-negative woman becomes pregnant with an Rh-positive baby, her immune system may attack the fetus, treating her own child as a threat. Doctors today can manage this condition with medication, but in the past, it often led to tragic outcomes. This biological barrier raised an important question. If all humans come from the same ancestors, why would this kind of rejection happen? Some researchers believe this could point to something ancient, a divergence in the human story that goes far deeper than we're taught in school. Rh-negative blood may not have evolved naturally in the same way as Rh-positive blood. In fact, some believe it didn't evolve at all, but if it didn't come from us, then where did it come from? Rh-negative blood is most common in Europe. and especially concentrated in one place, the Pyrenees Mountains, between France and Spain. Here, in this isolated region, lives a unique ethnic group known as the Basques, and they are different in more ways than one. The Basque people speak a language unlike any other in the world. It has no clear connection to Latin, Celtic, or Germanic languages. Their customs are old, their roots mysterious, and up to 35% of the Basque population has Rh negative blood, more than double the global average. Some theorists believe the Basques may be the last living descendants of Atlantis, a lost civilization often described as far more advanced than any other of its time. According to this idea, the survivors of Atlantis carried with them not only advanced knowledge, but also a unique genetic legacy. Because Atlantis is sometimes linked to ancient visitors or teachers from the stars, many researchers have drawn a connection between the Atlanteans and the Anunnaki. If the Anunnaki once shared their knowledge with early humans, then it's possible they played a role in shaping the Atlantean world as well.